It's getting harder and harder to be a soccer fan in Portland. Months of investigations and allegations against the club. A former Thorns coach accused of sexual coercion.
We have to fix what's broken about the system.
A former Timbers player arrested for domestic violence.
There needs to be big structural changes within the league.
Now, the club is accused of creating a toxic work environment for women.
Hostility toward female employees, physical touching that was unwanted, general workplace behavior that some saw as unprofessional.
How much will fans put up with? And will the team's ownership make big changes? Here's the story.
And hey there, I'm Ashley Korslund in for Pat Doris tonight. Welcome to The Story. All the ways to get in touch with us are at the bottom of your screen. You can email us at thestory@kgw.com, use the hashtag TheStoryKGW on Twitter, or call us and leave a voicemail. You can call us at 503-226-5090. And we'll start tonight with an article we think is worth your time. It's by Ryan Clark, the Oregonian's Timbers and Thorns beat reporter. Take a look at this headline here. It says, former employees of Portland Timbers Thorns allege toxic work environment for women, working mothers. So if you follow the team, you know that this is not the first scandal to hit the Timbers front office. Last year, a bombshell report from The Athletic found former Thorns coach Paul Riley sexually coerced players. Then months later, former Timbers player Andy Polo was accused of domestic violence. Now the organization is facing a third scandal just in the last year. Here's Ryan Clark from the Oregonian explaining what he found.
What we found through the course of this investigation was that there were some serious allegations of cultural issues involving the Portland Timbers and Thorns organization, specifically when it came to one of the men at the top, Mike Golub, who is the president of business for the Timbers and Thorns, a longtime business person in the sports business community in Portland. Workplace issues involving him and others that would include hostility toward female employees, physical touching that was unwanted, and general workplace behavior that some saw as unprofessional. In particular, we found issues with nursing and working mothers. That was an issue for one employee who said that she was made to pump breast milk in an electrical closet at the floor level of the stadium, Providence Park. The space has been renovated now, and there are new places for mothers to do that, but at the time she confirmed through photos and videos that she was indeed in a space like that.
Now, according to Clark there, the front office denies a lot of these allegations, but they have also said that they're trying to improve internally through various trainings and programs.
And what that looks like for them was an internal review from a law firm, DLA Piper, which they say found a trio of issues on the business side of the organization, one of which involved the workplace behavior of Mike Golub, the president of business. What that looks like as far as a response is specific trainings that Mike Golub is in, some of which are self-guided, that teach him more about different workplace challenges that he has experienced. The club has not gotten into detail as far as what he is accused of in the DLA Piper report, but a number of the accusations that are made in our story line up with a number of the trainings that he's required to undergo now as a result of this internal review.
So what does this string of scandals really mean for the Timbers and their fans long term? Well, to get that answer, we chatted with the Oregonian's newest sports columnist, Bill Oram.
Part of what makes this interesting and troubling is that this was the backdrop against which the Paul Riley allegations occurred, right? That this was what was happening within the executive front office of the Timbers and Thorns as well, where you have women feeling this way after interacting with somebody who's really at the very top of the organization. So when you ask how could these other situations and scandals have arisen within the Timbers and Thorns, you can connect dots to see, well, this is the other behavior that people are saying was going on at the same time. And, I think with pro sports teams, one of the biggest things that any pro sports team can have is trust with their fan base. And so the Timbers have said that they have already worked to address these concerns, these allegations. They had an independent culture review done last fall that wrapped up in February. And so they say that these allegations are behind them. And, they all happened obviously before the review was commissioned. But at the same time, they are asking for the fan base to really give them the benefit of the doubt that things are changing and that things will change. And the question is, how much trust does the fan base have that this leadership team is capable of change? And one thing I wrote in the column is you are essentially asking people to believe that you can change your culture without changing the personnel. And that seems hard to do, especially when, if you read some of the comments from Merritt Paulson and from Mike Golub, I think a lot of those comments and explanations rang somewhat hollow, and also I think tone deaf to the allegations that they are facing.
We want to thank both Bill and Ryan for chatting with us about this today. You can find Ryan's article and Bill's column right now at OregonLive.com, or you can check out our Twitter feed where we posted those stories. Well, people who live and own homes near the Peninsula Crossing Trail in North Portland are really frustrated with the number of homeless camps nearby, as well as the city's response to the problem. Blair Best visited one street near the trail where at least 3 people are now selling their homes because of crime and other livability issues.
For sale signs line what were once sought-after neighborhoods in North Portland.
It makes you not feel that great about living here.
Many families are moving out of the city, escaping the homelessness and crime that's taking over the streets.
It makes living in the neighborhood harder and just not as congenial as it could be.
Greg Dilks has lived in North Portland for 30 years and says homeless camps along the Peninsula Crossing Trail near his home have changed the area.
It's the first time in a long time that we've actually seriously thought about moving.
Mental health, drug addiction, and just not having access to housing.
Mark Smith and Maria Inocencio share a backyard with the camp. They often don't feel safe walking alone or tending to their gardens.
Every day, if you go from one end of the street to the other, you're confronting some very difficult situations, people in really dire straits.
It's a little scary because I know there is mental illness, and that concerns me.
We're the most harmless people you'll ever meet.
TT Sanchez lives in one of the camps along the Peninsula Crossing Trail.
They shouldn't be scared of us for what? Because we live outside. That's the only reason why you should be scared of us, because we live outside. So if we lived in in the house and stuff, would you still be scared of us?
A handful of for sale signs like this one are posted in front of several homes in North Portland. We're told at least 3 families here along McKenna Avenue are leaving, all due to nearby homeless camps.
I would say the migration to the suburbs I've seen quite a bit in the last 2 years.
Real estate broker Lauren Iaquinta sees it firsthand.
Most people don't want to have to worry about if they can leave their car parked in their driveway overnight without maybe having it broken into. It's a pretty testy subject.
Now, when working with clients in Portland, she vets the neighborhoods, checking for nearby homeless campers.
It's neighborhood by neighborhood. You can be driving through North Portland and you're in this lovely area where there's no issues, and then you kind of can make a turn around the corner and have homeless camps there. It's kind of sad. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years here in Portland, and it's changed quite a bit.
The city plans to build a Safe for Us village along that trail, the Peninsula Crossing, where many of the campers in that area could go. But there's no timeline yet on when that project will be completed. And it's only temporary, so it'll only be around for about 3 years. But after that, there are plans to build a permanent affordable housing complex to take its place. Blair Best, KGW News.
All right, let's talk now about an issue that you'll be voting on this November if you live in Portland. It's about changing the city's form of government. It's looking likely now that you'll be voting on all 3 parts of the Charter Commission's plan in one vote. And just a reminder of what we're looking at here. So that's increasing the number of city commissioners to 12 and having them elected from geographic districts throughout the city, 3 from each of the 4 districts. They would work on city policies rather than being in charge of bureaus, which is the way they are now. The plan also enacts ranked choice voting for the commissioner elections rather than a primary. It also adds a city manager who will oversee day-to-day operations along with the mayor. Now, the Charter Commission has been working on a plan to change the government for months now, and they overwhelmingly approved sending it to voters this November. Right now, Portland is the only big city in the country that still has a commission form of government, where each of the city commissioners are in charge of several city bureaus. And the bureaus don't always work well together. But the Charter Commission's plan has gotten some pushback too. Some of that came from the Portland Business Alliance, who sued the city, saying that voters should be able to vote on the individual parts of the plan, not the entire plan as a whole. They argued that Oregon law dictates that ballot initiatives have to deal with one single subject at a time, and that the Charter Commission's proposals should be voted on individually instead of all together. But the Charter Commission said that it's critical that each part of the plan stays together and that voters look at it as all or nothing, essentially. So the judge who ruled on the lawsuit said that the parts of the ballot measure can stay together, writing, "There is a unifying principle reforming the structure and operation of city government that logically connects all provisions in the measure." Many voters might prefer to vote on the three main reforms separately, but the Charter Commission chose to submit these reforms as a single package. All the provisions in this package of reforms are properly connected to the unifying principle of reforming the structure and the operation of city government. Well, another lawsuit claimed that the explanation for ranked choice voting wasn't clear enough to voters. The same judge ruled that the actual wording of the question that'll go on the ballot should be reworked, but that the question itself can stay. The Charter Commission announced this afternoon that they will reword the question using the judge's suggestion. So here's the ballot question that you will be voting on. Take a look. Should administrator manage city government, 12-member council, 3 from each district, make laws, voters elect officials using ranked choice process? Let us know what you think about this. Is that clear? Would you rather vote on the individual pieces of the charter reform or all together? Send us an email at thestory@kgw.com, or you can leave a voicemail. Well, last week we talked about the monkeypox outbreak and what you need to know about how it's spread and how it's treated. If you missed it, it's worth checking out our KGW YouTube channel, because doctors say they do expect monkeypox to spread through the community for months, if not years to come. But we did get a couple questions after our report, so we wanted to take some time to answer them tonight. A lot of you asked about the smallpox vaccine. You may have gotten that when you were younger. Zig here asked, I've heard that if you were vaccinated for smallpox, that it also covers monkeypox. Also, I received smallpox vaccine, 3 doses of it 65 years ago. Do I still have immunity? Interesting question. So according to the CDC, the smallpox vaccine can protect you from getting monkeypox. That's because the monkeypox virus is closely related to the virus that causes smallpox. Data from Africa suggests that the smallpox vaccine is at least 85% effective in preventing monkeypox. But here's the thing, the smallpox vaccine used to be included in childhood vaccinations, but only up until 1972. The World Health Organization declared the world free of smallpox in 1980. And the vaccine does not protect you for life. Its effectiveness does fade over time. So if you got the vaccine before 1972, you will not have 100% protection, but experts say you may still have partial immunity that might protect you from severe infections. A few of you wanted more details on how monkeypox is spread. Well, doctors say most infections are coming from prolonged skin-to-skin contact. They're seeing, though, most infections from sexual activity. But the virus can spread through surfaces in very rare cases. George asked, can a person get monkeypox from hotel linens and towels? To answer questions about how the virus is spread, let's go to Ariane Daytil with our Verify team.
We touch a lot of surfaces every day that other people have also touched. Amid the monkeypox outbreak, which the federal government has declared a public health emergency, many people online have questions about how the virus spreads. Verify viewers Becky and Rob specifically asked whether monkeypox can be transmitted by touching surfaces. So let's verify. Can you get monkeypox by touching contaminated surfaces? Our sources are the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the California Department of Public Health, and Dr. Scott Roberts, assistant professor of infectious diseases at the Yale School of Medicine, who says the risk of getting infected through a surface is quite low.
It's not zero, but it is low. And so that risk of a fleeting contact or somebody briefly touching something probably does not lead to enough virus on that surface to infect you if you get exposed.
So yes, a person could get infected with monkeypox by touching contaminated objects, fabrics, or surfaces that have been used by someone with the virus. But that's not the most common way that it spreads. Monkeypox transmission primarily occurs through close personal, often skin-to-skin contact with people who have monkeypox symptoms, such as a rash and sores, according to the CDC and the California Department of Public Health. Roberts says studies are currently ongoing about how long the virus can survive on surfaces. So far, experts know that the virus family monkeypox comes from can survive on surfaces, particularly when in cool, dark, and low humidity environments. But Dr. Roberts and the CDC both say that these viruses are sensitive to many disinfectants.
This virus is easily killed. So common disinfectants that we use, such as alcohol wipes or Lysol wipes, very easily kill the monkeypox virus.
So we can verify, yes, monkeypox can spread by touching contaminated surfaces, but the current risk is low. Health experts are much more concerned about COVID-19 because unlike monkeypox, the virus can spread through the air. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
When it comes to fighting climate change, we need all the help we can get. Here in the West, that may come from a pair of animals you might not expect.
We feel it's really important to bring back wolves and beaver to a lot of their historic range in the western United States.
How researchers say wolves and beavers may be some of our best tools and where they should go when the story returns. Hey, welcome back. Keep sending your questions and your comments to thestory@kgw.com or give us a call and leave a voicemail at 503-226-5090. A team of researchers from OSU is looking at an unlikely animal duo to help fight climate change, wolves and beavers. They want to see more of them on federal land in the West because of the critical role each of them plays in the ecosystem. Joe Ranieri has details.
The sounds of howling wolves could be something we hear more of on federal land.
We feel it's really important to bring bring back wolves and beaver to a lot of their historic range in the western United States.
A team of researchers at Oregon State University say the impact of having more wolves and beavers would be a huge benefit. They are proposing using federal lands in 11 states, including Washington, California, Idaho, and Oregon, to improve habitats for wolves and beavers. That would cover more than 310,000 square miles across parts of the West. Bill Ripple, a professor of ecology at OSU, says both animals can help our environment in different ways.
Wolves will keep their prey in check. So overbrowsing by deer and elk can cause regeneration problems with species.
They also help other animals at the same time, especially wolves.
Another thing that wolves do is they provide carrion for a wide variety of scavengers.
As for beavers, Ripple says they can help when it comes to wildfires.
When we have these series of dams, that creates a lot of standing water that can be used as a so-called fire break in case of wildfire.
Bob Bestia, also with Oregon State University, is behind the work too.
We're facing this climate crisis, which everybody is increasingly aware of, and it will affect public lands. We also have a biodiversity crisis underway where species are at risk, plant species, animal species.
He says both animals play a big role in our climate.
You increase plant diversity, and when you do that, you're increasing the capability for wildlife habitat for a wide range of species, whether it's a bird, a pollinator, a small mammal, whatever. You've improved the habitat immensely by having beaver in the system.
He adds it would also help with low populations of beavers and wolves.
They are at incredibly low numbers, and this proposal we have then is really an attempt to recover those numbers back to where we should be at some ecological sustainable level.
A smaller population that makes a big impact across our part of the country and beyond.
And they change stream flows. They increase the diversity and the amount of plant communities across valley bottoms.
That was Joe Ranieri reporting. Well, it's one of the best ways to see Portland on a bike high up on one of the city's bridges. When we come back, we're hearing from some of the youngest and some of the oldest participants in the Portland Bridge Pedal. Well, we talk a lot on this show about the way Portland is struggling right now, especially downtown. And a lot of you tell us you don't want to spend time there anymore. But we also want to take time to celebrate the ways Portland is recovering, even if slowly, from the pandemic. And one of those ways is the Portland Bridge Pedal. Yesterday, thousands of people got together in downtown Portland to ride bikes across bridges and roads that are normally full of cars. And this isn't just for hardcore bicyclists. As Evan Watson reports, the event brought together cyclists of all different experience levels.
It was a great day to swap 4 wheels for 2. With the sun rising over Portland, thousands of cyclists kicked off their annual pilgrimage on roads usually forbidden. That includes Mitzi Loftus.
Oh, I just love it.
Who at 90 years old is riding for a 5th straight year.
So whatever he says, I say, let's go.
You're riding a tandem bike.
Yes, yeah. So I enjoy the scenery and he does all the work.
If Mitzi represents someone with lots of life experience, her energy is matched by these young girls.
I'm excited to go up the big hill, and this time I think we're going to be able to just push through that big hill without stopping.
Some of Portland's iconic bridges, usually reserved for cars, open for all 1 day a year.
I just love it because I get to look everywhere. He has to watch, where we're going.
And the sightseeing over the whole city and the river is really beautiful.
If you ask Margot Bender, this bridge pedal is more than just a good time.
People are saving animals by not polluting with car races. Instead, they're riding their bikes and they're closing the streets and helping people learn that cars aren't the only way to be transported.
When Mitzi was their age, it was a different world.
My brothers had bikes and I would sneak a ride on theirs, but I didn't really know how to ride a bike. I'm not a biker at all.
But now, she just says yes. When a friend asked her to ride, she signed right up. Plus, she says, it's good for her knees.
I think he thought I was game. I think he knew I would do practically anything.
Like a 13-mile ride among strangers, knowing she's far from the only one with her helmet on, ready to go.
It feels really great that other people also feel the urge to do this. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you want to do it.
Evan Watson, KGW News.
Oh, love all that energy. Love Mitzi, too. All right, keep sending your questions and your comments to the story at kgw.com. We'll finish the show right after this. Our Hey Help campaign for the next couple of weeks is the KGW School Supply Drive. We're trying to raise enough money and supplies for more than 15,000 kids. And one of the best and easiest ways that you can help is to give online. You can do it right now. Just grab your phone and aim your camera right at this QR code that's on your screen, and then you can donate on our website. There's also a list of collection partners in your area where you can give in person. And if you don't have your phone right now, just remember this web address, kgw.com/school. Well, that's the end of our show. Thanks so much for watching. The news at 6:30 starts right now.
This is KGW News at 6:30.
Thank you, Ashley, and we begin